This is the Norris Group's Real Estate Investor Radio Show, the award-winning show dedicated to thought leaders shaping the real estate industry and local experts revealing their insider tips to succeed in an ever-changing real estate market. Hosted by author, investor, and hard money lender, Bruce Norris.
On Friday, October 21st, the Norris Group proudly presents its 9th annual award-winning black tie event, I Survived Real Estate. An incredible lineup of industry experts will join Bruce Norris to discuss perplexing industry trends, head-scratching legislation, and opportunities emerging for real estate professionals. Proceeds for the event benefit Make-A-Wish and St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. This event is not possible without the generous help of the following platinum partners: Housing Wire, Property Radar, the Apartment Owners Association, the San Diego Creative Real Estate Investors Association, Invest Club for Women, MVT Productions, the San Jose Real Estate Investors Association, Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club, Think Realty, and White House Catering. Visit isurvivedrealestate.com for event information and tickets.
Hi, thank you for joining us. My name is Bruce Norris, and today our special guest is Tom Salomone. Tom is a realtor from Coral Springs, Florida, and is the 2016 president of the National Association of Realtors. NAR, the Voice of Real Estate, is America's largest trade association, representing over 1 million realtors involved in all aspects of the residential and commercial real estate industries. Tom has been licensed in real estate for more than 40 years. He's a second-generation realtor and broker-owner of Real Estate 2, Inc., a firm specializing in residential real estate. Over the years, Tom has been named Realtor of the Year multiple times and served the industry in many capacities over his 40-year career. Tom uses his experience in business and sports to serve his community through a number of different organizations, including the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. He's been a member of the Chamber of Commerce, a Coral Springs charter school business sponsor, and a water control district supervisor. He's coached over 46 sports teams in local city leagues, been a member of the Amateur Athletic Union and the United States Specialty Sports Association. He volunteers with organizations to prevent heart disease and cancer, attends the St. Andrew's Church, and is proud father of 2 sons, TJ and Bryce, and his husband to his lovely wife, Diana. Tom, we welcome you to our show.
Well, thank you, Bruce. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
Sounds like your family's been a big asset to not only our industry, but to your local community, and I think that's great.
Thank you.
Just curious, TJ and Bryce, they going to be in real estate?
Well, one of them lives in Nevada. TJ lives in Nevada, and he's the proud father of, as I call it, my first grandson. I don't refer to him as his son. It's my first grandson. And he's 5 months old, and he actually works. He has his own little web design company, and he's a marketer, and he works for multiple real estate companies generating leads for the companies. And my other son is in Pittsburgh, and he's in the insurance industry, and he works as an affiliate for a big real estate company there. So neither one of them is actually selling real estate as I do, but they're both in related fields. So it's all part of the family.
What was your first year in the business?
My first year? Well, my dad, rest his soul, it was 1974. And I had just graduated high school on a Sunday, and I had 2 months before I got to college. And my dad, who was a broker in New Jersey, had me enrolled. I didn't know this until I woke up Monday morning. had me enrolled in real estate school that night. And I said, "Well, Dad, I'm going to be going to college in a couple of months." And he said, "Well, I suggest you pass your test on the first try then." So luckily I did, and I received my New Jersey real estate license when I was 18, and learned a little bit during my 4 years of college, and went to work full-time in New Jersey in 1978. By 1980, I had a broker's license in New Jersey, and then I had an opportunity to get down to Florida and open up a company in Florida, which I did as a 24-year-old kid, and I just celebrated my 36 years a couple days ago in Florida.
Congratulations.
So it's been a great career, great career.
You know, what's interesting is that, I've got gray hair, probably just like you do. 40 years plus is a long time. You've seen a lot of transitions, and one of the first transitions that happened is in the late 70s to 80, 81, interest rates exploded. So how did that affect what you guys did as realtors? And now we're all the way down below 4%. And I don't think it's appreciated by the current crop of buyers at all.
Well, it's interesting, and like you say, over that a long period of time, you see so many changes. And I can remember when interest rates were 18%, but back in those days, there were still a lot of FHA and VA loans that were fully assumable without qualifying.
Exactly.
So we sold a lot of houses where someone would assume that first mortgage. In many cases, they had enough cash to make the difference up between the first mortgage and the purchase price. And if they didn't, we had a couple different options. Sometimes the owners held a small second, and then if that was not possible, there were a lot of lenders back in those days that specialized in second mortgages. So again, maybe the buyer would assume the first, put down some cash, and get a small second from a lender. So people, I think, kind of got spoiled along the way, because back in those days, the agents that were productive had to be real creative in the way that they were putting transactions together.
I think that's.
And
Go ahead.
I'll tell you something that's funny. I sat when those rates were high. I sat in a meeting in Florida with 5 or 6 vice presidents of major banks, major savings and loans, all of whom told everyone in the audience that you would never see single digit interest rates again, and you would never see 30-year fixed mortgage rates again. And ironically, a lot of those vice presidents were savings and loans that all went out of business with the savings and loan crisis, and they could not have been further from the truth. As you mentioned, today you still have interest rates in the 3s and the 4s, and of course the 30-year mortgages. So all the experts got it wrong back then.
When I was deciding to become a real estate investor, the timing was, good for that in one sense, but I had to refinance a home that I owned free and clear, and the rate was 17.5% fixed. And about 2.5 years later, I got to refi it at 12, and I just thought, oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Isn't that amazing? And today people are upset if their rate is 4 instead of 3.5.
Right, and they said that they're going to wait until they go down, and I just think, do you have any idea how lucky you guys are? This is bragging rights for a long time, man.
You're exactly right. So you and I are dating ourselves is what we're doing.
Yeah, but that's okay. Sometimes perspective helps people make better decisions. You brought up something that I really thought would have helped the downturn be much less damaging, and that would be the ability to take over a loan the way FHA assumptions used to be done. $35, no qualifying, bring the loan current. I wish we would create that loan product from scratch right now. I really think that, okay, whatever's been accomplished, okay, you wanted to rein in financing, you've done that. Now we have the lowest homeownership rate in decades. If that was the goal, you've achieved it, but I don't see how that going forward is very helpful. So I wonder, and it makes perfect sense. That's why it probably isn't going to work, but create a nothing down loan product where the loan has a simple assumption attachment to it, to where it can walk to the next buyer should a default occur, and even hold a foreclosure sale differently in the event of that new loan going bad, where the opening bid is a late payment and they take it over subject to. I think you could turn this whole industry around and give a lot of people a first chance to own without a down payment and without any risk.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. Unfortunately, when the legislation called Dodd-Frank came out, at one point the suggestion was that no one could ever get a loan if they didn't have a minimum of 20% down.
Yeah.
So the National Association of Realtors has been fighting ever since to loosen the stringent requirements that so many banks have. And we got a lot changed with Dodd-Frank, and we're continuing to try to fight. We don't want to ever see another downfall like we had in the last 8-10 years, but so we want to have a sustainable environment. But I think that everybody would agree that we've gone 180 degrees the opposite. Maybe people were given loans that should not have been given loans way back when. But today there's so many people who are really qualified to own a home, and they just can't get financing. We had last 24 months we've had some successes as an organization. We got a lot of the upfront fees that were associated with FHA loans eliminated to make it a little bit more affordable to get in, especially first-time home buyers. We've found that condos are a first-level entry to home ownership to a lot of people. We just got a condo bill passed in Washington that, again, makes the qualifying for condominium complexes much, much easier and much, much simpler through the finance avenue. So we've got another bill right now that we're very, very concerned about our veterans in this country. On one hand, we just got $4.2 million released by HUD to go to veteran homeless centers across the country. And at the same time, for veterans who are in good positions where they can buy properties, there's loan limits. You as an individual or I as an individual, if we go to a bank and we want X dollars, no matter how large X is, if we qualify, we get the loan. Well, in many areas, veteran loan limits, VA loan limits, are $417,000. And we just don't think that's right. We feel that any veteran that can qualify for whatever the number is, there should not be a cap on VA loan limits. So we have a bill that we've supported. It's gone through the House. The Senate is on vacation right now, and we're hoping that when they come back, that bill goes through the Senate, and we can say that for all the veterans out there is no limit to a loan that you can get as long as you qualify for it. So as you well know, the National Association of Realtors on a daily basis is lobbying in Washington for property owners all across the country. And it's, as they say, it's a never-ending battle because every day somebody else wants to do something that's going to affect property ownership and people getting financing to obtain, we've always referred to it as the American dream. So it's something that we take very seriously, and we've got a full staff of probably some of the best lobbyists in all of Washington. And we're proud of it.
One of the things that drives me crazy sometimes is misconceptions, and I'm really attached to charts. I'm an investor that pays attention to trends and so forth. And when the idea came out is, okay, we got to have 20% down, I dug up charts, seeing how loans performed over a course of many decades. And it turns out there is no difference in the performance of a 20% Fannie Mae down and a VA zero down. None.
Well, and what we've actually, our research department actually showed results that in many cases, the 3.5% down FHA loans and zero down for VA loans actually in many areas of the country performed better than some of the 20% loans in those areas. So again, we always say that real estate is local, but we had documentation that we provided to the legislators showing those exact same things that you're talking about, that the percentage down did not necessarily equal foreclosure or good history on a loan. And that information that we provided actually was very, very important in getting that 20% removed from Dodd-Frank. So again, I agree with you on that topic.
Do you see, looking forward, looks like probably not an awful lot's going to happen until an election and so forth, but after that, there might be an attempt to look at the goodies that real estate has, and we have a lot of them, and some of these might be under attack. So which ones do you feel are under scrutiny that says if we could do away with that, or if we could diminish that in some way, we could raise some revenue?
Well, Three things that we're definitely keeping an eye on. We want to protect the mortgage interest deduction for property owners. We want to protect the deduction for state and local taxes, including those, relating to real estate. And we want to protect like-kind exchange provisions, 1031 exchanges. Those are three that are definitely on our radar, and we're monitoring them daily because, our belief is that probably at this point of the year, Congress is unlikely to pass any kind of tax reform, but a lot of legislators are developing tax reform proposals for next year. We believe that there'll be some major discussion in tax reform next year, and we just don't want anything that's going to hurt home ownership. We're coming out of a real bad time, and just for example, our statistics show that existing home sales rose in June. It's our last month of completed research, and that was for the fourth consecutive month. So first-time home buyers were up from 30% to 33%. So everything's going in the right direction at this point. And we really don't want to see anything stymie that momentum. The last thing we need to do in this country is to have housing not continue to go forward. Anybody who's watched America for decades, housing normally is the one thing that leads the country out of depressions or recessions, either whatever word you want to use for what we just had. But so again, we're going to continue to fight and lobby for property owners and try to make sure that nothing is taken away. For those three things I mentioned specifically, but anything else that could harm property owners in the country.
The one thing that I think might be under scrutiny is the $250,000 to $500,000 exclusion from it's tax free on the sale of a home. So is that one that's a target, or you didn't mention that? So.
Yeah, well, that's what we kind of consider any kind of taxes that when we kind of group them in to say under real estate. We'll be fighting for that. I think you're in California, right?
Yes.
Is that where you're shut? Okay, so you can relate to resort properties, second homes. A lot of people feel that second home mortgage interest deduction may be under attack, and when you talk about earlier misconception of people not understanding something properly, the average legislator, unfortunately, believes that when they hear the second home, they're thinking about a beautiful property, that someone may go to down in Florida or California or Arizona, and they have this vision of this property. And sure, there's owners, we call them snowbirds in Florida, that in the north they come down to a little 900 or 1,000 square foot condominium for a month or so vacation. But we're also trying to protect with that mortgage interest deduction on second properties. The individuals that have little hunting cabins in the center of the state. There's so many little, like I say, cabins that people have that it's not just the things you see on TV with the rich and the famous. It's hard-working people that have properties where they go and they like to enjoy, a little vacation in a little log cabin somewhere in the Midwest or up around the Great Lakes. And we're trying to, like I say, when we don't differentiate when we're trying to protect property owners. Property owners means everybody, and so all those things, quite candidly, Bruce, are probably going to be under attack. And anything that generates money when any legislature, whether it be a local legislature, or a state legislature, or a national legislature, when they're trying to balance a budget, unfortunately, real estate, there's a lot of money that flows through the real estate channels, and it's in some legislators' minds, some low-hanging fruit where they can just pluck it and try to balance a budget with it. So, we've been very successful over the years protecting property owners, and we feel confident that next year we'll do the same thing when the lawmakers are looking for tax reform proposals.
You know, when I was growing up, I mean, the Holy Grail was to own a house. I remember, honestly, very clearly, I got married at 17, saved in a little can, a tin can, $20 at a time for a down payment. I remember closing on the first time I owned a home, and I was mowing my grass, and honest to gosh, I felt like a man for the first time because I had my name on a deed. It was really that important to me. So we only have a couple minutes left. What would you say to the people that have kind of been convinced that ownership is just no big deal? They'll just be a renter.
Well, I think that, first of all, they should listen to what you just said, because anyone, I've been selling real estate for over 40 years, and there's nothing like being at a closing for that first-time buyer. The pride that they have. And, you know, we do a tremendous amount of research, and it's interesting what our research comes up with. Sometimes, you know, you get results in research, and even those of us who are ardent believers in the American dream, i.e. home ownership, we're sometimes pleasantly surprised by some of the results. We have concrete research that shows that home ownership equals kids getting better grades in school. The families are better involved in their communities, which make their communities better. Interestingly enough, kids that live in a home, in a community, there's less teen pregnancy, and the properties themselves exude pride in ownership. I think anybody would agree that an owner takes better care of his or her property than a tenant does. So when you start thinking about what it means to kids, you know, they're rooted in the community. They get better grades. Another one that when I read it, I had to read it a couple of times, but statistics show that kids that are in a home where their mom and dad own the property, take better care of the property, they have better health. So all these things combined, there is absolutely no question that property ownership is desired. We could talk for hours. People talk about millennials today. It's probably the one word that's used the most, and a lot of people will say, well, you know, millennials really, they're a generation of renters as opposed to owners. Well, again, our research shows that there are a majority of millennials who are renting right now who would love to be owners, but in many cases, their student debt load that they have coming out of college hurts them in qualifying for a mortgage. So that's something, like I said, we could talk from now till forever about all the different things that are factoring. But, you know, student debt is something that's, really, really high on our radar right now. We're talking to legislators about different ways that maybe they can assist young kids so they can get into property ownership.
Tom, we've run out of time.
Are skewed.
Okay. Tom,
Bruce, thanks so much.
I've really enjoyed our conversation. We've been speaking with Tom Salomone, and he's the president of the National Association of Realtors. A lot of information at their website. Tom, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so much, Bruce. I appreciate the opportunity.
The Norris Group would like to thank its gold sponsors for supporting I Survived Real Estate. Auction.com, Coachella Valley Real Estate Investors Association, Coldwell Banker Town & Country, Elite Auctions, In a Day Development, Inland Valley Association of Realtors, Jennifer Buys Houses, Keller Williams Corona, Keystone CPA, Las Brisas Escrow, LA Green Designs, LA South RIA, New Western, North San Diego Real Estate Investors, Northern California Real Estate Investors Association, Orange County Investment Club, Orange County Building Industry Association, Pacific Premier Bank, Pasadena Phoebe, Pilot Limousine, Real Wealth Network, Realty 411 Magazine, Realty Executives Inland Empire, Rick and Leanne Rossiter, Sunoco Corporation, South Orange County Real Estate Club, Spinnaker Loans, U-Direct IRA Services, Weston South Coast Plaza, Wholesale Capital Corporation, Wilson Investment Properties, Inc.
For more information on hard money loans and upcoming events with the Norris Group, check out thenorrisgroup.com. For information on passive investing with trust deeds, visit tngtrustdeeds.com.